Don't know about you guys, but with the introduction of the Expanse, I just felt like being part of Rocinante's crew. If you watch the show, you can imagine how good and intense the atmosphere and it can be, but then you already have the idea of how the ship itself should look. However, if you've read the books instead, the story changes a little bit. There's one neat moment when our main protagonist's mini-crew of 4 is engaged in the combat. Mr. Alex is firing torpedo after torpedo, Nagata is dealing with the defenses, and Alex is firing and patching up the engineering parts while Holden is being part of everything, making sure the correct strategies are being utilized. Now, you might ask yourself, since you can't really ask me, what the hell does it have to do with Aegis Retaliator? Well, more than you might think. Personally, I have a feeling that Tali is inspired by the Donager class corvette from the Expanse books, and here's why. If you look at the size and the regular torpedo bomber setup, we have a pilot, captain, engineer, and 5 gunners that can either be actual players or potentially one player in future dealing with the server blades. Tali has captain's quarters with 1 bed and crew quarters with 6 additional beds. Pilot is in charge of flying the ship and firing torpedoes only. We have engineering station where you can have designated engineer to do his tricks of keeping this beauty in one piece. There's a very militaristic bathroom with shower, and if we feel like making it more towards the Donager class, one of the 2 torpedo compartments should be interchangeable for either crew area with that famous coffee machine, cooking station and dining table, or you could potentially transform it into a cargo area. On top of the interior, these 2 ladies have some similarities when it comes to the outside as well. They are both pretty long and thin, stealthy, not too maneuverable in the atmosphere, and both will make your opponent shit bricks when they see you. Pardon my French. In case you guys are enjoying my streams or have seen some of my YouTube videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of flying fighter jets in space. I need my living quarters, and I want to be able to live in my ships. At the time of making this video, which is patch 3.9, my favorite small ship is Misk Reliant Sen. Medium one would be Aegis Retaliator, with Misk Freelancer Der not far behind. But in the near future, I am definitely expecting to add a Crusader Industries Mercury Star Runner to that collection. These are all multi-purpose ships that can be piloted by one person, but are all good at supporting small multi-crew as well. When it comes to executing any type of combat missions, Retaliator is definitely my first choice by far, and here's why. What she lacks in speed is very well compensated in the size of her torpedoes. These size 9 baguettes of death are currently capable of destroying most of the flyable ships in one go, and the only ship that you will need reinforcements for will be the Origins Flying Fortress 890 Jump. We also have 5 double turrets on board, but since the guns are only size 1, I always had a feeling that these are in its place to scare off the smaller ships and keep them in torpedo range, rather than do some actual damage. Nevertheless, when all 10 guns are firing, you will look more than scary to anyone who is ever thinking about approaching if they were not scared after scanning and reading the name of your ship. Another component that I would slightly touch on before we go to the living conditions inside the ship would be her impressive stock jump drive. Tali is jumping with size 2 crossfade component that is one of the best of its class. It's so fast that you will be able to see someone jumping towards planetary object and in most cases arriving to their designated destination before them with enough time to position yourself for that sweet torpedo kill. Now, when it comes to the living standards, I can't give you the full story yet, but based on the CIG original imagery, I can try and share how I imagine it. We have 2 changeable module spaces inside Retaliator, and since she is known as one of the few ships capable of using size 9 torpedoes, I would not recommend removing at least one of the torpedo bays from the equation. In my opinion, back of the ship is where this component should stay if possible. The front one can either extend the number of torpedo tubes or, as I would like it, become a living area with that small kitchen and place for crew to relax and share a story or two. Starting from the very front, we have relatively good visibility cockpit. Right behind it is bottom front turret entrance. Now this one is very important because your pilot will not be able to see anything under the ship, and communication between bottom turret and pilot could be a lifesaver factor. Next we have this crossroad. Facing the tail section, if you go to the left, which in this case would be starboard side, there are doors to the captain's quarters. Military style, just like most of it on board, so nothing worth mentioning, but still a neat perk to have a separate room. If we climb the ladder in the middle, there will be a top turret entrance, weapons racks, and tight but still beautiful crew area containing 6 beds, with huge rooftop window for that natural illumination or stargazing before dropping into slumber. Port side door, the one on your right coming from the cockpit area, will take you to the long corridor right around the first changeable component, and if you completely circle around it, you will eventually get to the very lifeless metallic washroom. Middle section between 2 compartments is where the welcoming party happens. We have 1 elevator per side and top and bottom seals that can be used for either out of the atmosphere entry and exit or as a dropship option. This section is also depressurized chamber. In case your front compartment is a torpedo one, be careful not to use that middle door. There's a good reason why we call it a death trap on board. In future, however, this should be my crew relaxation area, and hopefully with enough white neon lights to break the darkness of Tali's dark corridors. I will not go into details about the tail section since it only has engineering station, another compartment, and 3 additional turret entries. At this time in Star Citizen Alpha gameplay development, Retaliator has only one purpose, and that is to hunt out lawbreakers. If you are doing missions where smaller attack craft is expected, I would form a squad with a friendly escort to make things easier and more engaging. But she's an amazing ship to fly solo or with friends, and because of her rarity in the wars, she will make any captain proud, as the rest of the citizens are marveling her beauty and power. Now for me, Tali is another symbol as well, the one of success. With the newly implemented persistence through the patches, I've been lucky to carry her over 3 patches in a row. Oh yes, this ship was an in-game purchase for me, the first and my favorite one. I would say with the price of 4 million Alpha UEC, this is a perfect goal for anyone to get to and enjoy the change of career from grinding to smashing in style. She is most likely to be in my starting lineup when the game releases. As you guys can see, I rarely make videos in general. Something really needs to be close to my heart to kick my butt out of the game and into writing a script, reading it for hours, and making B-rolls to fit it all in. Hopefully this was good enough to help you decide to either grind that 4 million or spend about 275 American dollars when she is available for sale, or maybe just save you time and money if you don't share my feelings about the ship. In any case, it's been pure pleasure compiling my thoughts and making a tribute to one of, if not my favorite ship that you can see around Stanton. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, please do like it and maybe subscribe for more content about Star Citizen or some other random stuff. If you want to watch more of my content, feel free to join on twitch.tv/beardedcheg. Take care and stay safe.